Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Relaxin Podcast. I'm joined by Areos, co-owner of SNR, and Jam, actual owner of SNR, and I'm BoardGamer40K.
Hello.
Hi.
So we've got a couple different things to talk about, and you'll have to excuse us. This is our first time ever doing podcast format, so things are going to be a little shaky in this first episode. But we've got a couple different topics today. We've had recent controversy in the Wi-Fi scene with Sonic and whether or not he should be banned. Gotta love some good drama. Twitter is having a field day lately. We've got tier lists that Areos and Jam put together that I had a field day laughing at, even though they weren't that terrible.
And then we have Potomac's tier list that we all had a field day laughing at.
Oh my god.
This poor man can't even defend himself. We've also wanted to talk about a couple upcoming events for SNR and some of our growth lately that we've been seeing, which has made us really excited. So,
and the growth in the Wi-Fi scene.
yeah, that too, which is really awesome. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because of what's going on in the world right now with the COVID-19, but here in the Wi-Fi scene, we've been popping off lately, hosting a lot of really big and awesome tournaments. Shout outs to the box that's going on today, and I think is wrapping up here soon. But yeah, we're going to start off with our most important topic today, and that is the recent drama in the Wi-Fi community. It's kind of been building up over the past month or so, and that's whether or not Sonic should be banned from Wi-Fi play. And I'm going to go on the record right now and say, no, I absolutely don't think he should be banned. And I've got several reasons I'll get into, but I wanted to hear your guys' quick thoughts on that.
So, to me, it's a matter of like when developers have a bug in their game, right? Players that exploit this bug, should they be punished or not? And so I feel like if Sonic's just play the game, people would have less of an issue with it. But if the issue that people have is exploiting Sonic's kit to make games less fun to play and watch in order to win. And it's not that I'm objectively saying you can't use strategies other than just fighting and killing to win. It's that I personally feel like the way Sonic on Wi-Fi plays is a negative impact for the scene. And that playing to win should be also play to play the game, not play just for your money, if that makes sense, especially when it's free.
Yeah, no, I see what... Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, I just wanted to end it by saying, like, I feel like Sonics can play to win and not play, like, campy to time out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there is a happy medium that won't make others upset.
Yeah, so here's my thing, or my take on it. Honestly, I don't think Sonic should be banned, because it's honestly an easy fix, because most of, like, the Twitter clips of Sonic playing lame and just timing out people, just literally make a rule, like, if you stall, and just literally sit on the other side of the stage, not approaching, DQ that player. It's not that hard.
And
because
I've
seen Sonic play.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. So basically, I've seen Sonics play, like, aggressive, and it's actually kind of fun to watch when they're playing aggressive and they're going for cool stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Clockwork. He's a pretty big Smash YouTuber who just mains Sonic. He goes for he goes off stage, he goes for like reckless stares. Like, that's pretty fun to watch. But honestly, like, if you put a rule in for banning stalling, I think that will solve a bunch of issues with Sonic and Wi-Fi. But that's just my take on it. But you can go ahead.
And I'm pretty sure we've had a rule, specifically SNR has had, like, a no stalling rule, but maybe it really hasn't had to be enforced because we haven't seen a character that can camp out this hard, at least in Ultimate's continually developing meta. But people have realized that, yeah, Sonic's mobility makes it so easy to run away and even if your opponent approaches you and tries to force the issue, well, you just tap down B and you jump to the other side of the stage. And here's the thing: as a commentator, I do not like watching Sonic. It's very boring. It's very unfun, especially when people start playing that lame, campy style. They get that lead, and then they just back off and kind of run away and attempt to not engage. And those Twitter clips you mentioned, Jam, those are absolutely awful and should never happen. But I don't think that it's the right move to ban a character or stop players from enjoying a game, because there are people who probably legitimately enjoy playing Sonic for reasons beyond just trying to get easy wins in a tournament. Like, take Super Striker, for instance, and I'm sure he's having a field day lately with everything that's going on, especially because Sonic is stronger on Wi-Fi. But Super Striker's capable of making real plays, like who'd you say, Chronic? Like
Chronic? What do you mean?
Clockwork, sorry, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, I was thinking of Sonic's. But no, like, Super Striker is capable of making aggressive plays, but all these Sonic players have this one thing in common. Like, they start to get a lead, and they kind of back off and don't really force the issue. And as you mentioned, stalling is the real issue here. There are counters to Sonic. He's not broken. He's not unbeatable. And I think that just outright banning a character sets a bad precedent, and also gives in to people who are just complaining for the sake of complaining, in my opinion.
I think the part of the root of the issue and how it could be dealt with on Nintendo's side is, oh, sorry, 1 second, my computer started bugging out, is Spin Dash's safety and pressure that it brings. Like, I personally view Spin Dash as, even like, as a move itself. Does it combo into many things? No. Does it combo on all characters? No. Does it actually give a lot of percent? Not really, but it's the pressure it has, in the sense that you kind of have to shield it. And the parry timing can be tough, especially on Wi-Fi, because of how fast it can just hit you, how fast he runs at you. And then the fact that he bounces off and then you can use an aerial out of it. Most characters, for example, I play one of the safest characters on Shield. I play Cloud, ZSS, and Lucina. They all have at least one move that is safe on Shield, if not 2 or 3. But I actually have to use those moves. Other than ZSS Zair or Side B, I actually have to go to your shield and hit you, right? Where I have to space a back air. I have to do a landing forward air, right? I can't just throw a move on your shield and then not get punished. I have to actually land, fast fall, and time it. That's how almost all characters are in this game. Not counting projectiles, right? The problem with Spin Dash, I feel like, is it's too close to being. It makes Sonic the projectile, in that he doesn't have to space anything or time it when he hits you with it, because he can hit your shield and be relatively safe with it. He can't shield cancel it like you could in Smash 4, but he doesn't have to. He can just charge it and then wait for them to either hold their shield till it's too small and it shield pokes, or punish it because it's really hard to trade with that move. It has a decent amount of priority. And so that's part of the issue, to me, it feels like, is Spin Dash's safety, so that they're able to just force you to approach, camp you out with Spin Dash. Yeah, so Katomic actually just said Spin Dash has 6 frames of invincibility, if he recalls correctly. May not be 100% true, but things like that make it too safe of an option to use in neutral, that can oppress other characters, especially when Sonic has the lead. That makes it really hard for other characters to be able to engage. And not just because it's an attack, it's a burst option, it's a safe option, and it's a neutral option. That combined is what makes the Wi-Fi Sonic most oppressive to me, and is part of what Nintendo could look at possibly to fix it in a way.
Yeah, something like maybe changing the amount of time that you have to wait before you can go into an aerial, or adding something like he's got to hit the ground before he can act out of Spin Dash. There's got to be some kind of change in there. Again, I don't think Sonic is that broken, because his damage output is pretty lackluster, He's very much a hit and run character, but that safety that Spin Dash gives him, as you mentioned, and the iframes, the ability to act out of it so quickly after using it, the mobility it gives you, it's just all around very, very tough to deal with, and it hurts. Sonic right now hurts viewership because of the way these people are playing, and even in general, like Sonic will hurt viewership. We've seen it a couple times in the past, like Sonic in a major. Oh boy, nobody wants to really watch that. But when not being played purely for stalling, it's a little more interesting. But as a commentator, as a broadcaster for tournaments, like Sonic has been killing my desire to watch matches. I still don't want him banned, and there definitely does need to be some kind of patch to address him, but he's nowhere near ban worthy in my opinion. Characters in the past that might have been ban worthy, like Smash 4 Bayonetta, Smash 4 Cloud, Brawl Meta Knight, definitely the one that really comes to mind when you talk about ban worthy characters. Sonic's not even close. He's not even in the same sentence as those.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's two things that I actually thought of when it comes to like what you said. The first thing would be like, there's a possibility of adding a clause, just like in how Melee, there's rules that ban wobbling or chain grabbing. Same with Brawl, ban chain grabbing for different tournaments, right? I don't know how it would be implemented onto Sonic, but some kind of like that's one approach to that, right? Other than just flat out banning the character.
Chain dashing, no chaining, spin dash,
no chain dashing. Well, I actually thought of three things now. Other thing is there's certain moves that when hit on shield that are quick burst mobility options that have a hitbox. When I talk about those, I'm talking about certain dash attacks. I'm talking about like ZSS kickflip, right? Yep. So if you kickflip on someone and they shield, you bounce off and you do another flip animation that you cannot act out of. It's considered like end lag to a certain degree of that move. If you hit it, whether they shield or not, if you don't ground them, it does almost like a footstool that does 12% damage is basically what it is. And you can't act out of that. It's very, very negative on shield. I believe it has 30 or 40 frames where you're literally just doing a slow flip through the air, an extra flip. And it's very, very, very punishable. I think it's like actually 38 frames. That's something that Sonic doesn't have. He will bounce off the shield and then like has like 12 frames of end lag where he can't act out. But 12 frames is where you're bouncing away from the character, makes it very hard to punish it. And that's part of why I think the issue is. And the other issue is Sonic. For a character, so Jam plays a character that struggles to kill, right? He plays Richter. Richter struggles to kill. He kills at higher percents, 130 plus. Why does Sonic have a back throw that kills at 125? That's having like saying a character struggles to kill but have a killing throw. That's not just like, oh, this throw will kill. Like Joker's down throw will kill you at a 180, and with Arsene it'll kill you at like 170. Ish. That's with rage usually. Mm-hmm. That's not a kill throw. That's okay. You're way beyond percent where you should die against me. Now my throw will kill you. That's what that is. Belmont's forward throw is like that by ledge. It'll kill you at like 150. Why does Sonic have a killing back throw while being able to stall and run out? Because the thing with Sonic is they have to approach you. So usually you're back. You're going to be as Sonic when you're timing them out, right? The closest somebody's going to be able to get to you is when you're at the ledge, you're facing the middle of the stage. As the Sonic is facing the middle of the stage, his back is towards the blast zone, and the other person's approaching you. And then having a killing back throw is what makes it so much worse, because if that person messes up at all in their approach while they're trying to neutralize the lead that the Sonic has, he just grabs you and throws you off stage and can kill you for it. That's not a character that struggles to kill, in my opinion.
Well, keep in mind
if you have a kill option like that,
and keep in mind this, you've just reminded me of a really big point. This game and the way it's balanced Nintendo does not care about competitive play like we do. They don't balance or design this game around tournament play. That's never really been a thing that they cared about. We saw it in Smash 4, that the game wasn't really that well supported in terms of balance patches. And in all honesty, we've continued to see that trend in Ultimate, where yeah, there have been some good balance patches. Especially, I thought it was nice to see in 7.0 that there were buffs to a lot of generally perceived weaker characters. But this game has never and probably will never be balanced with true competitive play in mind. Smash has always just been like whatever Sakurai wants it to be, regardless of the hyper competitive community that we have. Since Melee and all through the years, it's not balanced to be a serious game. It's always been designed as some party game. So they're not sitting there thinking of, wow, Sonic's back throw kills at 125%. That's really weird considering the rest of his kit and how he plays based on his design. They don't see it like we do. They're not play testing for that aspect of the game.
Because like going off of your point, they normally like use quick play to do their to determine who they should buff and nerf. Because like Belmonts, I know this is biased, but Belmonts have so many flaws. But because they're like really good in casual play, they will probably never get buffed.
Dude, just
even
press
though they
B.
have a fucking frame 13 grab, dude, on a slow character and a zoner. Like there's zoners like Mega Man who have like frame 6 or 7 grabs. Like
frame 7.
Yeah, like yeah.
Frame 6 is the fastest. It's like Joker and a couple
of course, Joker is the fastest grab.
Actually, Joker's might be frame 5. All I know is Joker has the fastest grab.
Of course.
Yeah, he has a good grab. But yeah, Nintendo does not balance in terms of like competitive in mind. Otherwise, like they wouldn't have buffed certain characters the way they have.
Hey, at least they nerfed Arsene, right?
I think that was because like even casual players were complaining. But I digress.
So is that the key then? Do we all just pretend to be casual players, make alt accounts, and then complain every day about certain characters that are top tier that we want to get nerfed and just say that it's a hindrance to casual play?
Yeah, so we need to
Dude,
go
I'm
on.
complaining about Pikachu frame 1.
We need to go on Smash boards and start complaining.
See, my character goes even with Pikachu, so it's like I just don't feel you on that, Jam. I'm sorry. I think Pikachu's fine. In fact, make it worse for the Belmonts.
You can stop right there.
Make Belmont's Nair even worse so that he can't defend against Pikachu.
Dude, Nair already has 0 priority. You can stop right there.
It beats my Nair.
No, it does not. It does not beat your Nair.
I have a sword and it beats my Nair. I think your Nair
Dude,
is pretty good. In fact, your Nair should be nerfed.
Propaganda. This is
You
some
should get
propaganda.
you should get the Cloud nerf on your Nair. It should be smaller.
No, whoa, hell no. Cloud's Nair isn't that bad.
I'm not even talking about Cloud. I'm talking about Lucina. My Nair sucks.
Yeah,
Nair 1 doesn't even connect into Nair 2.
Dang, dude.
It's good at the ledge. Other than that,
give Lucina Ike Nair.
I don't know.
Okay, you guys can stop right there.
Speaking of other characters and
yeah, we could talk about these tier list, baby. Hell
oh,
yeah!
Oh, here he goes, beating his chest, thinking he has the best tier list because there was a vote.
No, I don't. I just want to dookie on Jam's tier list.
Well,
that's all. All right, let's talk about this. So Roy is your number 3 character in the game, Jam. I want to talk about this one. You put Roy almost above Shulk and Lucina. You put Roy above Joker and Pokemon Trainer and Peach and Palutena.
Dude, how many good Roys do you see? And how many good Jokers do you see? There's only one really good Joker, and that's MKLeo.
3 really good Jokers.
Who are
there are 7 Pokemon trainers on the PGR, the most out of any character. There are 4 Palutenas. There are 2 Roys.
Pokemon Trainer is definitely one of the most popular characters in competitive Smash.
He's broken.
Dude, I still think Roy's really good, dude.
I agree. Roy's really good. I actually think that Lucina on paper is probably the second best character in the game. But I also think that you have to factor in cheese and gimping and how dishonest a character can be to make comebacks, to get kills in creative ways that aren't just you edge guarded them or you flat out killed them. 'Cause that's what Lucina has to do, and that's why I ended up putting Roy above Lucina. Even though I think Lucina is a better character, I think Roy is stronger in a tier list setting.
Dude, but then you have to keep in mind, like you just said it yourself, cheese factor. Dude, Roy fucking kills so early. It's actually insane.
It is, but that doesn't
Bro,
make him the third best character in the game.
Dude, you're underrating how good his side B is. His side B is
I'm not
really
underrating how good his side B is. I'm actually probably overvaluing his weaknesses and how he can be exploited. Roy,
I actually think that Roy's weaknesses are kind of hard to exploit in competitive, which is why I think he's so good. So, like, what are his hardest things? Recovering, not snapping ledge, and sometimes hitting too far above ledge that ends up killing him, and he doesn't snap it fast enough. So if you counter it, it can fuck him. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean to say that. Anyway, it can screw him over. His airspeed or his fall speed being really high, so if he gets edge guarded, he can die from that because he can't recover because his linear recovery is good, but his vertical is not that great. And so also the small inconsistencies that don't help him for sour spots can sometimes lead him to not getting kills. However, I feel like his inconsistencies on his sweet spots for hitting on the tipper, like he's Marth or something, even though Marth's doesn't work, not biased at all here, definitely not a Marth main. The fact that he can tipper side B and it'll sweet spot and kill, but my tipper side B won't sweet spot and kill, kind of makes me a little mad.
sounding a little salty there, dude.
Roy's tipper on the edge of his blade is more consistent to hit sweet spot, even though it's supposed to be in the hilt, than Marth's, who's supposed to be at the tipper.
But is it enough to make him the third best character in the game? See, this is where I like Areos' tier list more. And I do have
it's enough to make him eighth best.
I don't know about eighth.
I would say Roy definitely falls in the top 10 in the current.
I think he's top 12.
He's at least top 5.
I wouldn't go that high. You know why? Because you've got Pikachu, you got Peach, you got Palutena, you got Shulk, you got Pokemon Trainer, and
you got Joker. Like
I would say that Joker.
Alone,
I would say that Joker's probably dropped a little bit because Arsene nerfs have actually had a serious
which
impact.
I agree.
But I mean, there's even more characters beyond that, and ZSS people are starting to dispute ZSS being ranked highly, which I don't know about that. There's not enough data. You've got Lucina, actually, I think is probably, I don't know. From my standpoint, because I don't play actively and I don't keep up with all the minor details of the meta, and I probably should do a better job of that, but I'm still in this mindset where Lucina's better than Roy. It's still, I'm kind of getting used to that, where people are thinking that Roy is better, and I can understand why people are starting to say that. But, you've also got, again, Pokemon Trainer, Snake still up there as well. There are still characters that I personally would put above Roy, but again, my mindset maybe is a little dated. Obviously, Roy has been popping off of late.
Okay, dude, as an overall character, I agree. Like, Lucina, like, fully optimized is probably the second best, because, like, has only, 2 or 3 bad matchups that are -1?
Two losing matchups.
Yeah, but at the same
Greninja
time...
and ZSS. And people even argue that ZSS is even, and so he only has 1 losing, Greninja.
So you say Belmonts are even now?
Listen, Belmont's -3. I don't care what you say, Jam.
Well,
it is so
you
bad.
You just said 2 losing matchups. I didn't hear Belmont.
I'm talking about a ZSS matchup. On a ZSS matchup chart, it's even, but like Belmont's hard win that matchup.
I'm talking about Lucina.
I know. Oh, sorry, I mean to say ZSS. But anyway, so Katomic actually brought something up that was kind of interesting. But I have a couple things to say about that. So the reason that I like that on paper Lucina is a better character than Roy is that Roy's safest option on shield is landing forward air. It is, I believe, -5, and it's also a frame 10 move, right? Lucina's safest option is forward air as well, except it's frame 4 and is -4 on shield. And it hits further than Roy's, which is kind of disgusting. And so on paper, what do you have for Lucina? You have a frame 1 up B in the air, combo breaker with frame 1 invincibility. You have frame 4 forward air that's safe on shield, that hits pretty far in front of you. And then you have Arsene back air. Lucina has Arsene back air. It's true. So that's why on paper, Roy's kind of better. The thing about Roy and Lucina though is like Lucina's back air is barely, like Roy's back air is barely stronger than Lucina's, but Lucina doesn't have a sweet spot. She can just hit you with it. They're pretty close. Like Lucina back air was gonna kill you at 90 by ledge and 80 sometimes, depending on character, depending on stage, stuff like that. But Counterpicking brought up a great point. Marth beating Lucina. I feel like this is heavily playstyle dependent.
Yeah, you gotta
I feel
combo
like
off those sour spots.
Marth beating Lucina. I mean,
it is
if
100%
the Marth player
playstyle
lands,
dependent.
if the Marth lands is Tipper, obviously Marth is better than. But Tipper's inconsistent as fuck.
Yeah, it's
so
not worth
I would still
optimizing
say
your play
Lucina's
around
better.
Tippers. And Areos has brought up this. He's kind of brought to light, at least in my eyes, this strategy of comboing off of sour spots, which I know has been a thing forever. But if you want to elaborate on that more.
Oh yeah, so like the thing about like I love sour spots on Marth. The only time I don't like sour spots is when I'm like, okay, I should have tippered here. There's very few times when I'm because I main Marth, and I'm saying this for people that don't know me. There's very few times where I don't tipper and I'm like, wow, the game screwed me over here. It should have given me a tipper. Why was it not a tipper? It's more so like, wow, I messed up here. I should have tippered, because I find that like tippers are more of a timing thing than a spacing thing. And that's what some people kind of like, I get told a lot actually, like when I play, they're like, wow, so I've never seen so many tippers so easily, like just like this, you just use this move and it tippered. Like how did you just tipper this move even though it didn't look like it was going to tipper, or I didn't expect this to tipper here. And it's because one, it's a timing thing, not necessarily a spacing thing. Obviously, spacing is a factor, but as someone who plays, like I only play sword characters except for ZSS, just because I really like ZSS as a character. Spacing is something that like I got down packed like from the beginning when I was learning how to play and everything like that, just because I liked sword characters the most. And so after spacing, it comes down to a timing thing of not how far away are they when I forward air, but when am I going to forward air? Where is the hitbox going to be when it's going to hit them when I throw this out? Not how far away are they? And that's what the visualization that I use in my mind in order to tipper better, and it genuinely works. And that's when it comes into the debate of the Lucina versus Marth matchup, is because it's two characters with the exact same range, but tippers have priority. So if Lucina's forward air and Marth's forward air are both going to hit each other, so to speak, like they're both at the very end of their hitboxes and they're both going to hit, Marth's will actually hit and Lucina's won't, due to tipper having hit stun and overall priority. Fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
The more you know.
And it honestly makes a lot of sense. And your description, relying on timing more than spacing, is absolutely valid, because when you're talking about characters with disjoints and specifically swordies, you are definitely like training yourself to master spacing. But again, Marth has that sweet spot mechanic, and every move has frame data associated with it, and you have to anticipate not just where your spacing will be, which is what you would do on any other sortie, because you're not worried about maximizing your damage. But on Marth, it is 100% about that timing. If your move comes out on frame 4, you have to predict where your opponent is going to be when that move becomes active. When your sword is coming down, like if you're using the forward air, frame 4 forward air, You've got to predict that they're going to be there on frame 4, not, oh, they're in range, time to use it. Because at that point, then it's too late because they're probably moving closer to you. And now they're in the sour spot, and now you got to change up how you play off the forward air, and you're already screwed at that point, potentially.
Yeah, and the biggest example that I can give someone, especially like when I'm trying to tutor Marth, is people ask about Marth's most inconsistent as far as what people think about inconsistency on his aerials. People think that so not just people, but his back air is his least consistent tipper, whereas it'll look like it should have tippered, or you think it should have tippered, but it doesn't tipper. That's what I'll call inconsistency, when really it's a timing spacing thing, and also character dependent. That's another thing, is that tippers are character dependent. You have to understand whatever the matchup is, how their hitboxes work in their moves and their animations in order to tipper. Because like Falcon Nair, you have to use your tipper, your sword. You have to use whatever move you're using earlier than what you think, because his hitbox is not only just slightly disjointed, but it's then slightly pushed in front of him. So you have to tipper it differently. So there's things like that come into play, just based on character matchup. For example, I think that Marth versus Game & Watch is a much better matchup than Lucina versus Game & Watch, because everything tippers on Game & Watch. His hitbox doesn't move that much when he uses his moves. His hitbox moves with his body and how it looks. His hitbox is nearly exactly how he looks. And so that's one of those matchups where it's like tippers are just so free. But specifically talking about Marth's moves himself, is the Marth's back air is the most inconsistent as far as it looks like it should have tippered and it didn't. But people complain about his up air not tippering more, when it's like, I hit them on the edge of my blade, why didn't it tipper, right? And that's because people usually try to do it where they're directly below the whatever character they're trying to hit when they're using up air. So they'll jump and they'll try to hit it so that they hit right above them at the very end, and it won't tipper. And that's part of the timing thing. I'll usually never go right below a character unless I'm genuinely trying to sour spot and juggle them, so that I can do a sour spot up air into a tipper forward air or back air, or then another tipper up air. That's when I'm right below them. If I'm right below them, I know I'm 99% not going to tipper. If I want to tipper up air, you go slightly to the side of them. And depending on which way Marth is facing, because the hitbox comes out earlier behind Marth than in front of Marth, just because of how he swings his sword, because he swings it in an arc. So the hitbox initially comes out behind him 4 frames before it comes out in front of him. It's a 4-frame active move, is my up air, or a 3-frame, I forget. But that's when it becomes a timing thing, whereas if I'm slightly behind them, then I'll use it earlier so that tipper hitbox is out for when they come in contact during that move. If I'm slightly in front of them, I'll use it later so that tipper the sword hits them at the tipper on the side. It's much easier to time it at the sides to tipper consistently than it is directly above, and that's the biggest thing about Marth that people don't realize.
Yeah, and I think since the beginning of Ultimate, Marth got slept on really hard, because very quickly the common consensus was that tippers are too inconsistent. There's no reason to play Marth over Lucina. Lucina is just better Marth because the damage is balanced out across the entire blade, and you don't have to think, she's brain dead easy, etc. Which, is arguable, because you still have to put in a lot of practice and thought into playing Lucina, even though, again, easier Marth and arguably better. But the things you're talking about with timing, with making those tippers more consistent, I think there is room for growth in Marth's meta, especially to bring him back kind of to the forefront, because Marth has been one of those characters that has always been top tier.
Always been top 15. I personally think he's top 20 still.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you've got him right there on the top 20 on your tier list, next to Byleth. Which, by the way, I hate to end this great discussion about Marth, but I gotta steer this back on course. And you've got Byleth in your high, mid-high tiers, what you've labeled it here.
I have Byleth as a top 30
above
character.
Above Olimar.
I think
all
Byleth
my-
above
no,
Young
better than-
Link, above Greninja,
No,
above
okay,
Mega
no.
Man.
No,
So
I'm sorry. Your tier list falls apart right there.
So that's actually more of a
Byleth is not
mistake,
that
and
good.
then I realized, I'm like, wait a second, I don't actually think that Byleth is better than Young Link or Greninja or Mega Man.
Byleth is not. Yeah, exactly.
I don't
Bi-
think that's actually a mistake on my part.
Byleth's
But
not
do I
even
think
better
that
than-
Byleth is better than Pichu and Link? Yes. Samus? Yes. Do I think
I
Byleth
don't
is
know
better
about
than
that one,
Terry?
Steve.
dang, dude, this
Maybe.
is brave right here.
No, I don't know about that one.
This is
Steve.
brave.
Because, dude, Samus is like a really good zoner, dude. And Byleth
Okay,
struggles hard.
Can we
against
agree?
zoners,
Can we
dude.
agree that Byleth is better than all of the characters I put in low high tier, in the lower half of high
No.
tier? Because I split high tier in
Hell
two
no.
halves.
No, I don't
He's
think.
not
I don't
better-
think
he's
Violet.
not
You don't
better
think-
than Belmont.
Yeah.
They are not better than Belmont. They are not even better than Ness, to be completely honest with you, dude.
I
Okay,
disagree
buddy.
with
I disagree.
a lot of that. I don't know. Violet's
And
just too high.
Yoshi, dude, Yoshi
Right?
is a lot better than
See, this is my bias as a sword as a Martha Lucina main, is that like I just dookie on like Yoshi and certain characters in high tier that's like it's just not even it just makes me feel like I know this character is good, but it's like if they can't survive against me, then
Areos tier list is a matchup
it
chart
makes them
confirmed.
feel less. It pretty much is. No, like I literally said, I was like, my matchup chart is the most biased matchup chart ever, except for top tier. Top tier is not biased. Top tier is facts. 100. I'm speaking God's word.
No,
on top
Inkling
tier.
is not top tier.
I would say
Inkling
Rob,
is not
Rob,
tier.
and
No.
Rob is not top tier. He's up there.
Rob is not
But
top
no.
tier. He's
Also,
high tier.
you know how bad? No, you know, out of everything you've named, you haven't even named my most biased part of top tier. Two of my most biased parts of top
Well,
tier.
yeah, it's Cloud.
Which are?
No, okay, not Cloud. Cloud is definitely a top 25 character, and that's where I have him. I have him top 25.
You have him like top 15, dude.
I know I have him top 20.
Hold on, let me.
I have him at 17, I think.
Okay.
17, 18.
Okay. I mean,
But still,
yeah.
the most biased part of my
He's
tier
17.
list, the most biased
Cloud
part of
is
my
not
tier list
17.
is I have Ken as the best character in high tier.
Which
Borderline as a borderline top.
and I
tier
saw
character.
that,
I don't.
and I don't
don't
hate
know.
that entirely because I think played.
I think Ken is broken. I think Ken is unfun, unfair to fight against, and it's not who's better at Smash. It's who's better at Ken, and obviously the Ken player is going to win unless you can play Ken better than that person. Then you win no matter what character you're playing.
Right. I was gonna say at his peak, Ken is absurdly strong. He's got an auto win combo. But that's played at like full optimization, and not everybody can pull that off on demand.
SNR happens to have a very good Ken player that has optimized his combos quite well, and I never shield against Streetlight ever
Oh yeah, you don't want to get
because I
shield
like
broken.
my shield. I like having my shield. I never shield against.
You don't want
Streetlight.
him to shield break you
I've
into a
played
win.
him twice. If I'm at 0% and he shield breaks me, I'm instantly at 83%, and then I can't lose a single interaction. Otherwise, I get up tilt into strong jab Shoryu, and I just die.
Ken's pretty
because my
much the
character
touch
is
of death
light.
character in this game.
I mean, no, Luigi's.
Oh,
No,
well, yeah.
Because
You're right.
because Mario exists.
That's true. Luigi is touch of death.
Peach pre-patch Peach was the touch of death character because she had a 83% combo that if you didn't DI it perfectly, she could then get a down tilt into sweet spot forward air because her combo would drag you to the ledge. She would down tilt that true combos into sweet spot forward air that kills you at ledge because her forward air killed you at 90.
Damn, dude, rough life.
That was the true touch of death character, even before the Luigi combo got nerfed.
Yeah, I wasn't
People
even
just
thinking
slept.
about Luigi with the recent Sonic drama because before it was
It was
Luigi.
the Luigi drama.
I don't even want to get into that can of worms. Luigi, I'd rather watch Luigi like 100% of the time over Sonic, but I still don't think Sonic's banned. You know, I know we already covered this. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Before we get into other characters on these tier lists that we have, I feel like a good thing that we can talk about is character drama. What characters have we had drama about
Literally all of them.
so far in Smash
Are you
Ultimate?
kidding me?
Actually,
All of them.
I don't feel. And what characters do we think are going to have the drama around them in the near future?
Little Max
So to name
still
them,
doesn't have
we
12
have-
jumps.
I see it coming.
We have in the very beginning of the game. All right, we had Belmont, K. Rool.
No, it was K. Rool. It was K. Rool.
Yeah,
Definitely
we had,
K.
well,
Rool.
so in
No one-
order,
no
in
one
order,
said
we
anything
had
about
K.
Belmont.
Rool, then we had Belmont. Okay,
Mm.
then we had Ike. We had the Ike controversy,
yeah.
whether he was good, bad, broken, best character in the game, stuff like that. And then people realized he's extremely linear and he's exploitable.
Did somebody say Ike?
After that, we had Ganondorf. After Ike, we had
I love you,
Ganondorf
Yaki.
because of Frostbite. Because of Nairo at Frostbite, clapping 2 pro players with Ganondorf. I mean, like when I say clapping, I have never seen destruction on a pro stage more than when Nairo's on the stage. Nairo, the only thing that comes close to destruction happening around Nairo, either Nairo causing the destruction or Nairo getting 0 to death clipped by Gluttony to win a major. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been anyone but Nairo, except for when Game 4 MKLeo, when he had that insane roll read at Evo on Tweak. Like that's the only other anime moment. Because I mean, like Nairo has his Ganondorf at Frostbite against Light and Mars. Then he has the 4 parries into a down smash as Palu versus Lucina against Mr. E.
Oh, that's so
which
disgusting.
is one of the most anime moments of Smash. He parried all 4 hits of Dancing Blade from Lucina side B in an anime moment where it's just dink, 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 and then boom, sweet spot. Not just any down smash, it was sweet spot down smash, which is in the arc of the wing for Palutena, and just obliterates him. And the entire crowd was freaking out. It was like Evo moment, whatever,
37.
68 or 60, whatever, 37. Yeah, it's almost like Evo moment 37 in how the crowd was like, oh my god, because that's when people realized the power of parrying.
Dude,
Like he had Palutena down smash is like frame 12. It's not a fast move, but he parried so many moves in a row that he had enough frames to punish.
parrying is the best mechanic in fighting games. Don't at me. Third strike with parrying.
Not in
so good.
Ultimate, but yes, in general, I agree. I feel like in Ultimate it is chalked up and is not as valuable as it is in other games. Because parrying in other games means because you can block moves in other games, but you can take damage from them, right? But parrying, you take no damage from it, which it means it has an extreme value to it. Whereas in Ultimate, it's like you can parry a move and then punish with a move that even if you didn't parry, sometimes you would still do the same punish because you haven't had a shield option. Like Cloud, if you parry Cloud, he's usually going to up B, or if you're at kill percent, up smash. But like Cloud could do either regardless, whether he parried or didn't parry most of the time. So it's like, that's why I feel like parrying is kind of chalked up in this game. But anyways, so we're talking about character controversies. I feel like Ken is the next character to have a controversy that we're waiting on. Like that's the next thing that's gonna happen. It's gonna be the Ken controversy. We're past the Chrom Roy controversy. We're past Wolf down smash. we're past Ivysaur up B. You know.
Oh man, the Ivysaur drama, dude.
We are way past the ZSS's mid tier. Or high. Well, we're still in the ZSS controversy.
I'm gonna say because I saw a tweet the other day. I can't remember who it was by, but they were calling somebody out with a clip. It's like, you think ZSS is high tier? People are still in contention about ZSS, but yeah, maybe Ken
destroys certain matchups.
I don't know, dude.
Kickflip destroys certain matchups, but there's also matchups where Kickflip is completely like you're completely able to call it out. Like Game & Watch can call out Kickflip, but Game & Watch still loses that matchup. It's Kickflip has little to do with whether or not the matchup is won or losing, but it does have a lot to do with whether or not the matchup is good for the character. Like the Belmonts can't function against Kickflip, even though they can call it out sometimes.
Well, and
because up air reach.
Back to Ken. I think there was a moment in time where Ken could have been controversial. Is when the buffs came to the Shotos. and people realized that Ken could do some absolutely broken things. Because originally Ken was not that good at the launch of Ultimate. There were a lot of issues with Ken, and I want to say it was
He has gotten
4.
buffed
It was
every
4.0.
single patch.
It was 4.0 that like really gave him the killer combos that he has now. And since then, there's been a couple other buffs and tweaks to like shield damage and whatnot. But there was that moment where Ken got buffed into the combo monster that he is, and people didn't really run with it. Like it didn't really blow up into anything. And I think now that moment may have passed. Like it could still turn into a quote unquote controversy or Twitter drama and all that, but I don't see Ken really becoming the focus of the community. I think Ken takes a little bit too much thought. I don't think it's necessarily brain dead easy, because you do have to kind of optimize your play, but I don't know. It could still happen. We've seen a lot of characters kind of come out of nowhere to get the ire of the community, like Sonic, kind of just
Luigi.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Luigi was kind of a problem at the beginning. As soon as people found that touch of death, man. But yeah, I don't know. It could happen. I'm not really seeing it. We didn't even touch it. We didn't even talk about the biggest one of all that has happened at Ultimate to date. Hero. Should Hero be banned?
That one died. Like,
Hero is a high tier
within
character.
2
He's
weeks.
good. He's fun.
When
he's not
but
fun to
but when
fight.
it happened,
Oh, well.
but when it happened, dude, that
fun.
blew up
Oh, yeah,
out of
that was
Literally the
proportion.
dumbest conversation I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
If I can, like, how I gauge whether or not a character is good or bad is how much fun can I have fighting it, right? If the character's not fun for me to fight, I think the character is good. Like that's where I put a lot of bias in my tier list, where I don't have fun fighting Ken. I think Ken is one of the. I have more fun fighting Pikachu than Ken.
Wait, but then why is Pikachu number
Actually.
1?
Well, because Pikachu's still broken.
Yeah, no,
I just
absolutely.
acknowledge the fact that I just acknowledge the fact that my character is broken, and that goes even with Pikachu.
Pika-loops,
so.
dude. Pika-loops.
Peekaloo.
Pika-loops.
Plus, you also have to think that I'm also most of my training experience is on Wi-Fi, not on LAN. So it's like
I don't know. Get good, scrub.
that's why I put
Coming from the guy who doesn't play at all.
I think last time we played, you quit.
Probably. I probably rage
Right.
quit. Well, let's not kid ourselves here.
It sounds like me when I play with Jam anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Jam's like just jump. You can get out of my lead trap if you jump, and then I get smacked.
You
And then I
can
get
though.
smacked in the face. I get smacked in the face with an axe and die. And I'm like, oh yeah, just jump into my death. Thank you.
Just roll.
I roll into an F smash or F tilt. That's great. Or a grab.
You literally
Like, it's
have
just
to
great.
time it, dude.
Yeah. If you're getting
I
F
time
smash,
it,
you
and
timed
then
it
you
wrong.
time it.
If you're getting F smash, you timed it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you timed it wrong.
I don't
dude.
care. Belmont's are top 5. Don't argue
No.
with me.
No, give my
I
character.
believe
back.
you have
Thank you very
Belmont.
much.
Stop pressing B.
Where do you have Belmonts on your tier list? I don't even see them.
I have them at the bottom of high tier. I
They are
have them as
not that good.
I have them as a bottom 40 character.
No, they are not that good.
The thing is, there's so many good characters in Ultimate. Like, look at my high tier has more characters than top, mid, and low tier combined.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. People complain about so many things in this game, but as far as like roster diversity and viability goes, this is the most like we've ever seen in Smash in terms of
Oh.
competitively viable characters. Like, it is absolutely insane. Almost every game or every character, in this game can be taken into a tournament setting and be played really well. And in some cases, you'll see top 64 appearances for all of these characters, with the exception of a handful like Kirby and Little Mac. I'm sorry, you two are probably beyond redemption at this point.
Over half.
I mean, Little Mac
Little
Online.
Mac,
Little Mac Online.
Kirby.
Magic Trumpet Man. Shout outs. I absolutely
Salt
love watching
King.
him play. Yeah. There's definitely a
Yeah.
couple Little Macs online. I'm sure there's a couple Kirby's too. But yeah, I mean, almost every character in this game is actually decently viable in terms of like they could make top 64. They won't make top 8.
like not talking about Wi-Fi, but like in general, look at my what I have for mid tier, right? My mid tier list, like the mid tier characters, over half those characters have had top 50 players, top 16 placement representation. Seriously,
Yeah, it's
in
insane.
A
I haven't
tier,
seen Falco.
in A tiers.
Oh, no, wait, that's
Larry
not
Lur,
him, I
Larry
think.
Lur.
He doesn't
A-
play
A
Well,
tiers.
Falco-
Okay,
He played Falco.
Falco's broken.
He played Falco.
Plays
He played
Fox and
Falco.
Wolf. When did
He
play
played
Falco?
Falco. A tier,
When did he play-
SoCal, whatever it's called. I forget the tournament with Void and Spargo were there. Is an A tier.
I know that he has him as a secondary, but he doesn't fucking main him.
He still played him. He still played him for
Regardless.
more than one set.
Regardless.
That's
So,
like saying,
there's-
okay, I'm
there's still
Kaleo,
representation.
won
There's still
cross
representation
play
of
with
him.
Violet because he won what, one game
Two.
or one set
He won one set.
or two
Yeah, yeah,
games,
yeah.
two
Two
games. Okay,
But no, but like,
that
but
doesn't
like,
mean
okay,
Violet's is
but-
top tier.
No.
no, I'm saying, but they still have they still have their uses in competitive. Like, Corrin was counterpicked with Cosmos to win, and Zachary has used it against the Buzz, and so did Cosmos. And for example, like Nomex just beat Zero. I mean, that was online, but still, that's Bowser Jr. DK, there's plenty. Ben Gold. Ben Gold is a PGR player, and he's I believe he was PGR top 50. I believe he was like 40 in the 40s, and he's from Australia. He mains K Rule. You know, like there's representation from the mid-low tier still.
Yeah, no, it exists. And so many of these characters, again, are absolutely viable. They may not be good regardless. You know, like Falco is actually functionally broken, and it's very sad. And hopefully he gets some love in the next patch.
He just can't kill he can't sweet spot Bayer kill.
His back throw doesn't even work.
Yeah, well, his up throw doesn't either. You can DI the laser. No, Falco.
Falco.
Oh yeah.
No. I think
you can DI the
Falcon.
laser.
I think Falcon is. There's a
I
couple
think
problems.
Falcon's broken and fake hype.
Yeah. No, there's a couple problems with Falcon, but I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for.
He's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
He's
He does not need
absolutely
buffs.
playable.
He does not need
Like,
buffs.
The thing is, you know what? Like Fatality said this himself, and this is when I knew that Falcon was for sure high tier, and people need to stop crying. Was Falcon Fatality literally said it himself? He's like, if they fixed his turnaround animation alone, because it does slightly screw him over in a lot of situations, especially in disadvantage. And even when he's comboing into advantage, his turnaround animation can sometimes screw him over for it. He's like Palu Falcon would be nearly even, slightly losing for Falcon instead of just flat out losing. And I was like, that's when I knew that Falcon's broken.
Yeah, no, I think
he's high tier, but he's broken.
There's potential for Falcon, and there was one other thing I wanted to touch on while we're on this topic. And it's a little bit away from tier list, but I think the evolution, like the meta is going to continue to evolve and shift a little bit. Like there's not going to be anything, I don't think, groundbreaking at this point, like new tech discovered that just completely changes the meta. But counterpicking as like an actual viable thing that people practice, and they have pockets dedicated specifically to counterpicking. I think that's the next step.
That's me.
And this goes back around to the Sonic thing. If people had specific counterpicks, and maybe counterpicking Sonic on Wi-Fi isn't some be-all solution to this drama, but just having a counterpick for matchups that you absolutely hate to deal with would go a long way to solving a lot of people's complaints about this game. Like, people are still going to be like, oh, I can't believe I have to switch off my main to play a counterpick for this specific matchup just because it's so unfun, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's the next step that several people need to take, is learning to and embracing the fact that you can counterpick to beat specific matchups, and it's okay.
I agree, and I feel like there's only two top players that have embraced that kind of like not necessarily just embraced, but like been completely open and tested it out and pushed it to their limits. No one has done that further than Nairo or Zachary.
Yeah, absolutely.
They will pick. They won't just like, obviously they'll pick characters that they play that they're confident with, but they're not afraid to go, I am more confident that I will win with this character rather than playing Palutena or Rob.
And that's what the mentality should be, but for some reason, Smash is so into this. I have a main, I have a secondary, and I have a pocket character I might pull out every once in a while. And that is so
Like,
deeply ingrained in the way that people play this game. And it's like, it's okay. And it actually shows off how much more flexible you are as a player if you have counter picks that you can go to and you can play well enough to win.
Like
And then,
Nairo.
Bork, you have people.
Sorry, you can go. I apologize.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And I was gonna say, and then Bork, you have people like me who live and die solo maining Belmont.
Right, and that's okay too. If you want to be a solo main, that's totally fine. There are plenty of people
But
like
here's the
that.
thing. From a person who just solo main someone, dude, I fucking put 3,000 hours plus into Belmont, dude. I don't have the time to fucking put in the same or like even half that time in again for another character who's better. That's why I have to literally just focus on outplaying whoever I'm playing against. Like even so Pikachu, it's a very hard matchup, but like there's nothing much I can do. I
Well,
just have
don't
to
you
outplay
think?
the fuck out of
Don't
him.
you think it would be really cool if you could spend just a little bit of time learning one of Pikachu's biggest weaknesses and practicing that matchup specifically with that character? And then if you go up against a Pikachu, you have enough confidence to you have enough confidence to pull out Lucina. And you don't have to be a god at Lucina to win against this Pikachu player because Lucina's natural strengths over Pikachu will somewhat carry you through that. And you just have to have enough matchup knowledge and comfortability and familiarity with Lucina to win the game.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe.
like for my biggest, and this is not just me being a Lucina stan or whatever, you know. Like I'm being serious when I say this. At Glitch 6, Nairo pulled out Lucina after not having that as his main to beat Light, ZD, and Tweak.
And think about how hype that was. Think about how hype that was when you saw a player do that. When you see a player pull out a character they don't play very often, you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. This dude is playing a character he like never plays, and that is so sick that he's doing this well with this character. Like,
and he got second. He got second going solo Lucina. He got second place just because he was more confident against Tweak with Tweak's Wario. He was more confident playing Lucina than Palutena, even though his Palutena is better. And I watch, Nairo's Lucina because I watch any pro Lucina VODs I can watch. I watch in order to implement things they do into my own game. And I look at Nairo and I'm like, he's doing the same basic things that I do. He's just that good of a player that he's able to just overall play better, and that's why it's working. And it's one of the few times where I looked at something and I was like, I'm not learning much about the character rather than just like the game itself. But that's part of what makes it viable to do that, to play a different character and win. And the thing is, Nairo got second at that S tier, not because Tweak beat him, because he SD'd twice and lost 2-3.
And as a broadcaster, I may be a little bit biased. I love to commentate, shoutcast, all that.
Character swaps
are hype, especially when they're a character swap you don't see coming. And you're like, oh my gosh, they just picked this character, and this is going to be so exciting to see them play something different, to see them play something new and perform well with it. I love that so much, and it shows off the flexibility of a player, the adaptability of somebody, the depth of their skill to show that they can swap to another character and play it to a point where they can win in a highly competitive setting. That to me demonstrates so much skill. I love that. It is awesome. Even if they swapped to a character I didn't really like to watch, that would still be like, whoa, okay, what's this gonna be like? Things like that I love. Like there was a grand final once that Epic Gabriel was playing in, and it went to 5 games, and every single game he picked a different character, and it was just so much fun. Like he pulled out Incineroar. It's like, what the heck? I didn't even know this dude played Incineroar, and he won with it, and it was awesome. It was awesome every game. And
I remember, yeah, games like those are hype. Sets like
absolutely.
those.
But
I remember watching Nairo play Mars, and Nairo played Wolf, Robin, Pit, and ZSS.
Yeah, stuff like that is
all 4 of those.
So sick.
He won with Robin and then swapped to Wolf and then won. He ended up losing the set, but still, he did not care. He's like, I'm gonna win. his whole goal was, I'm gonna win based off matchup in like unfamiliarity, and the fact that you like every game you're gonna have to adapt to my character and my play style with this character. Meanwhile, I already know your play style and what you're gonna do. You don't know what I'm gonna do. So stuff like that part of the counter picking is what makes it so good.
And yeah, no, dude, counterpicks, especially when like they pull out a character that you main, it gets even more fun because now you're watching like, a really high skilled showcase for your favorite character. But I wanted to, before we end this, I want to shift focus a little bit. SNR has been growing a lot lately. And I hate to say that we're benefiting off of the current global situation again with that pandemic, but I mean, the Wi-Fi scene as a whole is benefiting. We're getting a lot of spotlight on us altogether. You know, we've had quarantine series, Soak Series Invitational was huge, and there's just been a constant train of big Wi-Fi tournaments. And SNR actually is going to be hosting 3 of them this month. We kind of took a little bit of a break from hosting tournaments through April, but now we are back, and we have been experiencing rapid growth. We're partnering with I believe our Smash Bros on a tournament. We're partnering with Peak Tournaments. And things are going to get really interesting as we go forward. There's another partnership in the works that we can't wait to announce, but we'll have to save it for later. But guys, if you want to give some thoughts on the recent growth of SNR, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Baby Jam, you want to say something?
Areos, you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
As far I kind of want to, I just want to say, you know, I'm glad to be able to do what I do, like on Discord and Smash, every day. More so than anything else, it's definitely been something that like allows me to have something that's not just my normal everyday life, and that, you know, I have fun being able to come on and help people run tournaments, things like that. And the fact that it's only getting bigger is something that makes me excited.
Yeah, I'd actually like to touch on that a little bit more. As a TO and one of the kind of leaders of SNR now, it is so fulfilling and rewarding to be able to put money into the scene and get something back out of it. It's so much fun to do this, and we love putting on these tournaments for you guys. And Jam, if you'd like to say something.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited with the current growth of SNR. I'm really happy. I've been loving how active our community has been and how welcoming a lot of you guys have been. I appreciate it a lot. I look forward to what the future has in store for us. I'm also really excited about the Minecraft server we just launched. By the way, Muffin Gang's the best faction on that server. Don't at me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to announcing more projects that we have in the works and doing more content like the podcast.
And it's coming, guys.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Aris, you had one more thing to say?
I'll just say snrfactions.apexmc.co.
and soon maybe we'll be able to plug some sponsors. We're working on that. But guys, this has been episode 1 of the Relaxin Podcast. I'm Borkhammer 40K. Once again, joined by Areos.
Hello, goodbye.
And Jam, our venerable owner, who we love so much.
Emo, man.
Oh, also, and Katomic put Incineroar as high tier. I want to end it on that.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us, guys. We will catch you next time. I don't want to say next week because we haven't finalized when we're doing these, but we will try to have episode 2 up soon. Peace out.